But what I want is something about the size of your hand that takes up about that much space wherever you're sitting, filled with color. There's something about when you're being creative on one side of your brain, it frees up the other side of your brain to do other things. And so for the next few minutes, once we get started, you're going to be thinking in the terms of questions, just like Jeopardy. When you answer, you're going to answer in the form of a question. Power questions are simple and clear. They're thought-provoking. They generate energy. That would be the assumption. And then, but this opens us to new possibilities. And welcome to the World Cafe. This is a process that we've actually done before here at First Church. And the idea is you're sitting in a cafe and there's music playing in the background and you're with your friends and I'm sure you're partaking in some like non-alcoholic spritzer of some sort. But you're in this very relaxed cafe conversational area. And what do we do in those moments? We solve the problems of the world. We come up with ideas. We share and exchange and shoot down and bring back up, everybody at that group. And that's what we're going to do today, except for the shooting down part. So what we're going to do to start is I want to encourage you to continue to write and color and draw and doodle on these table mats in front of you. There's something about when you're being creative on one side of your brain, it frees up the other side of your brain to do other things, and it just kind of allows a more exciting exchange of information. So that's partly why the colors are there, but also because I gave you that assignment of drawing something colorful about the size of your hand somewhere on that paper in front of you. And that will be used for something else later on to be reviewed. Let me just tell you a little bit about this cafe. It's going to be an exchange of ideas, assumptions, and all of us have unconscious assumptions. We've all got an agenda. We all think we know what we want to do, and we're pretty sure everybody else wants to do what we want to do. That would be the assumption. And then, but this opens us to new possibilities. And as I said earlier today, we want to be open to the possibilities. We're praying for the possibilities. Again, there's no such thing as a bad idea. There could be an idea that's undeveloped that somebody else might put their 2 cents in and really develop that idea. It could be a great idea. Speak your mind and your heart. Listen to understand, and that means respecting others when they're speaking from their heart. Link and connect ideas. Sometimes we don't see the forest for the trees, and the person next to us might be able to see the connection. Listen together for insight and deeper questions. And again, play, doodle, draw. Writing on the tablecloth is encouraged. We're going to have fun. Okay. I think before we start this process, we're going to ask the pastor to come over and perhaps help us to pray for the possibilities.
I want you to know that it's very important. It's going to be in the next 9 months. It's going to be very important that there are times when I'm asked to be giving what my thoughts are and what my hopes are for this congregation, and this process allows for that. It's also important that there are times when my voice is not a part of the process, and when I'm not present with you to do this. This is one of those times when you need to be making your suggestions and your thoughts and all that without me being here. And so it's one of those good things to do. And what I want you to know is that I feel blessed by this congregation, and I feel blessed that God gives this congregation the wisdom that it has, you know, and so now this is a time of discernment for all of you, and this process really is one that opens up that imaginative side of who we are as a community, who you are as a community, will continue to be. So please don't take my absence from this part of the process as disinterest. I'm staying away because I'm most interested. You know, I really want this to be the congregation's part of this dreaming. And thank you again, Sue. We've used this process before, and it was wonderful effect. A wonderful effect. So trust the process, trust the leadership. Thank you.
Today is not going to be about figuring out the transitional process. There's going to be elements of what we discussed today that will go into that process, but we're not here to figure that out. There's actually going to be a transitional team that works on that, and if you brought your little flyer with you, if there's a team that you want to be a member of or work on or be involved in, again, it is not it's not a service of indentureship. You're not committed to 7 years. You are committed to the projects that are of most interest to you, but if we don't know you're interested in, you don't mark it down there. So we're just kind of going through these teams here. What I want you first right now to do is let's talk about the music and worship aspect of First Church. I want you to start thinking questions of what is of interest or value to you, and where you might see this go with First Church. And I'll be kind of walking around some to kind of listen in on conversations. We're going to just do this for 2 to 3 minutes for each topic. And I would like one person in your group to commit to being the scribe. You can make notes right on the paper. You can, on the tablecloth, you can make notes on the back side of this thing, whatever you want to do. But if one person could kind of keep track of ideas and thoughts, that would be really great. So in about 2 seconds here, I'm going to give you a free-for-all to start talking amongst yourselves. But whatever you do, it needs to be in the form of a question. Questions? Okay. Go.
Where we go? Okay, read the... No, what?
Your questions and concerns regarding the nurtured education team. So this is Christian education. It may have to do with adult education, children's education here at First Church. So what kind of questions or possibilities are we looking for at First Church regarding Christian education and nurturing? Go.
I don't think we have a problem with that.
Okay, we're going to go on to the next topic. One of our teams is called Growth and Good News, and in the description, what we did, what I kind of just started at is shouting from the mountain top, shouting out the good news, and also about not hiding your light under a bushel. So the next few minutes, please feel free to discuss and come up with possibilities that have to do with the growth and good news efforts of our church here at First Church. Go.
Is everybody being asked to participate?
Okay. Our next.
Very active in the I would say the UCC is a performance. Because we're a step ahead.
All right. Going on to the next subject. We're going to combine two of them because they both have to do with serving on the executive committee. And one is for the at-large member, and one is for the moderator-elect position. The at-large person actually comes and sits in on meetings. They kind of are almost a liaison, I guess, between the congregation and the executive council. And then the moderator-elect is, and I'm giving you the barest information, is kind of the moderator-elect in waiting, the moderator in waiting. So, ladies in waiting, this is kind of the same thing, almost exactly the same thing. You kind of serve alongside and under the current moderator because at some point your role will move into being the moderator. And the moderator kind of oversees all the committees here at the church as well as helps with the direction of the church and coordinates between all the different committees and teams. And so that's just it in a nutshell. But what I want you to talk about now for a couple of minutes is what that might mean for First Church and how you see that role. So thinking in terms of questions and questioning your questions, go.
Don't miss any of that.
People coming in new get lost in the shuffle. I mean, I work in the Catholic Church, the Episcopal Church.
Everybody ready to move on? Yeah. Okay. Have you start thinking about in terms of questions regarding our property and our property management team. So how physically the plant here at First Church looks, how it acts, how it functions. So, it's all really pretty when you drive up and it's pretty. But what else might it be, or what else would you like to see, or what else is of interest to you when it comes to property and property management? So, I'd like you to talk about the property management aspects of First Church now. Thanks. Go.
Baby off and let them get up here in this clothes. And when you see that pathway, it's the
What is the
What is the involvement?
yeah.
Yeah, and it's not stopping us from parking.
Okay. going to move on to the next topic. Ready? All right, the next thing I want you guys to talk about is the mission and outreach team. And again, if you refer to your little handout here, it really does kind of give you a description of all of these things I want you to talk about. So mission and outreach, what are some of the aspects of mission and outreach that you appreciate? You've seen us in action with our coffee selling and our Wilson School projects, and what are other Dream Act things that we've been involved in. So you kind of have an idea of who they are. What else do you want to see, or what else are you interested in? Go. Okay, we're going to move on to the next topic. You can finish your thoughts or your sidebars. All right, our next topic has to do with the spiritual gifts team. And, you know, we all have our financial gifts that we're talking about right now with our stewardship campaign and pledging and what that means. But we also have spiritual gifts that we bring to the table. They're our passions. They're what speak to our hearts and our souls. They're the things that make us want to do the work of God. And everybody's passion is different. Go.
Do you have any questions?
Who can tell us?
Now, can I talk?
I was on the show.
Okay.
So now.
So, and we asked him before we agreed to do it, would you
Okay, we're going to move on to the next topic. The next two topics we're going to combine. I'm going to combine them not because they're not important, because they really are. The teams that we've talked about so far are actually looking for, we'll be looking for new team leaders as of January 1st. So we're, again, in addition to we'll be trying to come up with who those new team leaders might be, we're also trying to, your information is going to help inform them on what direction you guys want us to try to move on some of these things. So the two teams that I want you to talk about right now, one is stewardship, which you're very familiar with because we've been having our stewardship talks each Sunday, and the other one is the care and community team. And care and community is exactly what it sounds like. It is the care of our community, whereas mission and outreach generally is outside of our community. You know, we're reaching out to folks either in the city, in the county, in the state, or in the world. Care and community really does have more to do with right here in our, we may be impacted by things going on around us, but we're dealing with our folks right here on our ground. So I want you to talk about thinking of questions about the stewardship team and care and community. So, go.
Central and Glendale. Drop all my unused tanks, all the batteries.
Yeah. Oh, we have to be nice.
Oh, we have to be nice.
No, you don't have to be nice.
Now what I would like you to do is pick one person from your table and tell a group what your table's or your group's top 5 ideas or questions or thoughts are.
Good afternoon, I'm Greg. Our group really got going here. We got 2 pages of notes in revision format. We were looking in the music ministry that we felt a balance of traditional and modern music is very important, so we can emphasize our traditional aspect, but also include new people in the church and have an outreach ministry to music needs. In the second category, we felt that educational area for the children was very well handled by the current ministry with a variety of topics and interests and reaching the children at their level. We felt the educational aspect needed to be enhanced and maybe have a rotational topic study or a rotational thing, maybe have different topics such as money management, a workshop on ministry and stewardship, maybe possibly doing outreach and ministry, getting people more connected with each other. So we thought that could be accomplished by going that direction.
That's under education and nurture.
Correct. Then in Showing Light, we felt the 1480 radio talk show 1 week delay with the sermon has been really well put together. It's on temporary use, I believe, about 18 weeks. So we feel it reaches people that are shut in and possibly people that will come and attend the church in the future. That's for the Showing Light to the Community outreach, number 3. And partnership, we felt that if everybody in the church was encouraged to bring a friend or someone that they knew, that we could possibly double the size of our church and minister to more people in the community. And that would keep a balance of older people, middle-aged people, family people, young people, recovery people, all the different people that are represented here at First Church. And we would encourage that to be an ongoing program, so that we realize that some people the church will minister to, others will go down the road, and then we will pick someone else up. But we could double our church that way, and that would help create some financial stability and a use of talent across the board, of music, the arts, the different variety of things we want to do here. We're concerned about our backdoor laws, because we realize some of the people have left the church, and there's no follow-up with those people. I'm involved in a couple organizations, and we found that if we follow up with the people and connect with them with someone that they connected with, that we've been able to regain them and keep them in our chamber ministry or other different things, so we're concerned about that as well.
So just to stop you for a minute, currently music, you like our music, and you think there's a balance?
Yeah, we're looking to continue a balance in the future of traditional and modern music so that we can reach, and it may include, including one more solo or one more piece of music, and maybe trying to keep announcements or other things at a lesser amount of time because it's such a valuable ministry.
And under education and nurturing, you like the way the current Sunday school curriculum is being handled?
Yes, for the young folks, and we felt that was probably adequate and very solidly put together.
And we'd like to see a little more, maybe some more rotational topics for older educational.
Correct, older educational.
Did everybody hear that? Oh, could you repeat that part of it, the rotational?
Yeah, we felt rotational topics. We feel like the adults would also fellowship during these aspects of coming weekly, and there's different areas and topics that are of interest, and we don't feel that those are being covered, and it would also give us an experience of expanding in our spiritual dimensions as well. Perhaps 1 or 2 sessions could be on the types of meditation, how you can implement them in your spiritual journey if you so elect to on an individual basis, prayer, meditation, Old Testament information. There's many leaders in the church and the community that are very solid and well put together that can have some great presentations for 2 to 6 weeks and then start another topic.
Okay, I think we're going to move on to another table. If you've got time, we're going to come back to you.
Thank you.
But thanks very much.
All right.
Kathy?
All right, we did ours in the form of questions, and I'm going to share actually 4 questions that we came up with. What are the hopes and the aims of our music program, the whole music program for the church? And with a new director on board, how are things going to possibly be changing in the future? How do we make... How do we make our educational program, particularly for youth, with concern for adult ed too, but particularly for youth, more appealing to children and families? And how do we reach out to our families, particularly alternative type families who might be very attracted to a church like ours?
So say that one more time.
How do we make our education program more appealing to children and families of all different kinds of makeup?
Okay.
Are there any other ways to advertise other than electronically? I know we do magazines and newspapers, but as far as, I think Greg mentioned this too, bringing people to church, doing a little more hands-on as opposed to just, media and electronic. and Hallelujah on our worship services on Sunday afternoon on the radio. That's great.
Okay.
And how do we better inform our potential volunteers what it means to be a member of council, what it means to be a member of the admin team, what's expected of you, what are you going to be doing? I'm not sure that word always gets out and across to people. We mentioned specifically the at-large and the moderator, but really any position that we have, our team leaders, I'm not sure that we have as much out there in writing to help people to understand as we might. That's it.
Great, thank you.
Okay. First one we came up with is the current music program we have right now is excellent. However, we do think that there needs to be more ensembles and stuff within the church, not just outside guest ensembles. On the education.
You mean from church members?
Yes.
Okay.
Church members. For the education, we came up with, we definitely need to have more geared towards the children, as well as when it comes to Bible study, rather than bouncing from book to book back and forth, sticking with one book, studying through that, so that you get the full story.
As far as what books?
Any.
Books of the Bible.
Books of
Books of the Bible.
Rather than taking things out of context.
For our growth and good, we need to figure out how we can grow, not only as individuals, but as a church in whole. As far as the mediator and mediator-elect.
Moderator?
Yes, moderator. Those positions need to be better explained and made more readily available to every member of the church. As far as our property management, basically what it boils down to is we need to be better stewards of what we already have, such as our organ, and we need to eventually find a replacement grand piano.
So this is for property?
Yes.
So say it again for me.
We need to be better stewards of what we already have, such as our pipe organ, and we need to find a replacement for our grand piano.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you so much. Vicki? Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, under the category of new members, we talked a lot about how to improve new member orientation and follow-up communication with new members. And in several of the categories, we talked about how do we better inform all of us about the different opportunities for service within the church. What are all these teams? What is the council? What are all these different opportunities and what do they entail? For the transition team section, we said, well, what is the transition team and how will it be formed and when will it begin its work? Under growth and good news, we wondered how can we measure the results of all the different kinds of activities that we're doing. For example, how many hits are we getting on the website? What is there on the ritual of friendship that we can use to better reach people?
So how to better track, whether it's electronically or written.
How to gauge the effectiveness of what we're already doing.
Yeah, that's good.
Under education, Is it a priority for us to recruit more children and youth and families with children? And if so, how do we do that?
Is it a priority?
Is it a priority? And if so, how do we recruit children, youth, and families with children? Okay, and then lastly, is it a priority that we reach the ASU downtown population of faculty and students? And if so, how do we do that?
So does that come under outreach?
It's still education.
Okay.
That's our fifth thing.
Outreach.
Sorry.
ASU downtown. And how?
Yeah. Great. We're UCC, we're thinking the same way.
Under music in the church, how can the congregation participate more in the music? Under the second one, I don't know what category, what does it feel like to be in Sunday school? Maybe instead of a sermon, have the teachers come up and have us be the Sunday schoolers.
Sounds fun.
Do people with disabilities feel welcome in this church, or what do they feel like? Let's see, that's two. What are some ways of inviting people to the church? We also wanted a chart of an organizational chart with the different committees that look there.
That's a good idea.
What are we going to do with the space that the Arizona School of Arts was using? We had, on outreach, we adopted Wilson School. What about adopting something for seniors, like a nursing home or an assisted living place, and providing for them some of the things that we provided for the children?
Great idea.
Under spiritual gifts, and I guess the last one too, there are people in this congregation who do things that are not connected with this church, but better the community or the world or whatever, and maybe have one person recognized every week at church and tell about what they do, put their names in a little hat or something, and then once a year draw out a volunteer and give them some kind of reward.
So say that again. I want to hear it again.
There are people in the congregation who do things that are not connected with this church, but are outreach of their own spiritual light.
So are we talking volunteer, or in their vocation, or?
Either way.
Oh, okay.
You know, how do you enlighten, or how do you benefit the world, I guess? In what way? And have one volunteer a week recognized in church talking, or not that they would come up and talk, but somebody would talk about what it is they do. And then put the names so you get an idea of the variety of things that the people in this congregation do, because I think it's hidden and really beneficial. And then put their names in a pot and draw something once a year at a volunteer recognition day or something. I don't know, but just an idea.
Great. My God.
Okay. One of the first things we had is when you become a new member, you do the new spiritual inventory. What happens to that inventory, and why is there no follow-up with it?
We sell it.
We sell it? That's what we thought. I thought I saw it on eBay, and the price was just too high for me. And then we're talking about stewardship time right now. We're talking about how do we make talking about the financial aspect easier to talk about, easier to hear, and then to implement it. I know that when I went up and talked about my stewardship moment, I kind of didn't even talk about the financial aspect of it, because it is a hard thing to talk about. I think sometimes it makes us uncomfortable to hear, but we do need to talk about it.
So say again.
How do we make talking about the financial aspects of this church and hearing about it easier to do both, to hear and to talk about it? I don't know.
That's
Okay, thank you. The other one that we had was, on the property management. Why would anybody be interested in property management? That was a real question we had. And the other part is, I understand that this is a huge thing, but what is the cost of repair versus the cost of what we lose? In other words, we've got some stained glass windows that are broken. What's the cost of the repair of the stained glass window versus the loss of the conditioned air that we lose through the stained glass windows? Has anybody ever thought about things like this? Repair versus the other end of it, if that makes any sense. And then, let me see what's another good. We had quite a few of them on here. In new times, we don't know if we are, we talk about marketing. A lot of what we're doing here is marketing the church. Everybody talks about going a mile out, 3 miles out. What if we just started, for lack of a better phrase, marketing within 3 blocks of this place? I guarantee if you go 3 blocks down the road and ask if you've ever heard of UCC, people haven't. So what of the outreach, where does that start from this point, and how far out do we go? And then when we're done there, how far out do we go? So what exactly does outreach mean? And then probably the last thing is, I don't know what else they wanted me to ask. I can't read the writing. It was written by a lawyer.
I got to say, out of the gate here, that some of these were suggested by a couple of folks who had to leave. So I'm here to relay their wishes because due to circumstances beyond their control and so forth. First thing on music is, why don't we have the Artists in Residence program for harps at this church?
I wonder who asked.
Yeah, the best.
Oh, let me see.
Maybe the question is, how do we become an artist in residence?
With harps? I thought we had one. Somebody suggested that we have that for brass, is it?
We have one for brass.
For brass, but not for harps. So harps are the question mark. Okay, and under education, how will we get new church school teachers?
Well, like increasing our
Like
pool?
increasing, when we lose church school teachers, if we have increases in enrollment, where are these new teachers coming from? Okay, the next thing is, how do we create a more transparent church structure? This gets into the question about succession of moderators and moderators in waiting and all that kind of stuff.
How to make it more transparent?
Yes, how to make the church structure more transparent. Okay, and the next one is under the general heading of justice. And it is, what is the appropriate separation of church and state in terms of justice issues? Okay, under spiritual gifts, can the spiritual gifts offer more ways to expand spiritual awareness within the church?
Say that again?
Can the spiritual gifts group offer more ways to expand spiritual awareness? This gets into, how often do people talk about spiritual matters with other church members?
Okay.
And can I get one more?
Sure.
Okay, this is the bonus one. How do we expand awareness of our facilities availability to groups with missions that coincide with our church's mission? And that addresses the business about School for the Arts.
How do we
expand awareness of our facilities
availability?
Yeah, to groups that coincide with our church mission.
Great. Next person on your way?
First of all, our artwork was absolutely lovely.
Beautiful, beautiful.
We had a lot of things that have already been mentioned. We had some few that haven't been, or at least maybe mentioned a little bit differently. Under property, why is the courtyard looking so bad? Okay. Ours are informative questions also. Why are homeless people allowed to sleep here? Which also begs the question, what are we doing about ministering to the homeless people who were sleeping here?
Are homeless people sleeping here?
Probably in the newspaper bin. Probably in the newspaper bin.
Oh, in the bin.
Then also under that same one, why do school kids damage the yard?
Because they're kids?
Because they're kids. Is the answer to that one?
Kids are kids.
Because kids don't think.
Okay, I work with a bunch of teens.
This one, I guess, is under spiritual gifts. Could we have spiritual healing services?
What does that mean exactly? How might that look?
Spiritual healing service would be a service designed for people to bring their needs for healing in their lives specifically, and then have them prayed for specifically by the other people who are there.
And grief or whatever.
Grief or, yeah. And we do that within the context of worship. This would be a specific service to do that. Some churches do it like once a month or every fifth Sunday or something.
Okay.
What would it take to start a youth program?
Youth?
Because we'd have to define how young youth is, or how old youth is, maybe. 40s and up. Aren't we all sitting on the steps with Pastor Steve today?
Yeah. Anyone from 12 to 24.
There you go.
All right.
This is under mission. How can we begin to do recycling of hazardous waste? Because churches have done that in the past, have provided ways for people to dispose of their old paint and stuff like that, or car batteries, things like that.
Okay.
And also, let's see, I guess this would be under mission. Can we reinstitute the big yard sale? And I think the rest of them are all covered by others.
Okay. Does anybody else want to come up and share?
I'm sitting with Marge, and she gave a unique perspective, and also the other person at the table was raised in this church and then went away for a long time, like many of us did. What's really critical to all three of us, above anything else, I think, is the end of worship and music. It's the category. And can we find a pastor who can maintain the theme-based approach where the scripture that's read and the music that is used and the sermon all tie in together? And I would call that theme-based. It's important. My background is communication, and I have a saying in communication: say it, and then say it, and then say it again. And that's how you get the point across, because that helps me, it helps reinforce what's been said. The other thing that's probably just so critical, I think, is the historical and cultural context, which Pastor Wells uses in contrast to focusing on salvation for the hereafter. In Bible study right now, it's like we are saved for the here and now. And that's a theme that is brought forward by that, going back to the Old Testament and bringing those characters alive. And that's something that's just so important to me, to Marge, and the friend that was at the table as well.
So what topic is that?
That's still worship and music.
Can you say it again? What?
It's the context, the historical and cultural context. Can we find a pastor that can sustain that? Because it brings us to what we need to do now. You know, what would Jesus do? You can just say historical and cultural context. Marge mentioned, for instance, the meaning of words, which Steve frequently refers to. You know, in the Greek, the meaning was actually this, so forth and so on. I find that to be really helpful for daily life. The other category is growth and good news. Gee, why would I choose that topic? And Robert has been extremely helpful. Robert Andrews here. We have a platform that we pay for and we pay to maintain, and it is a member user. In other words, you don't need a computer tech. The structure is there, and then we can go on the different areas of the website, and it's as easy to use as PowerPoint. I realize that some people don't use computers at all, but that's a very easy system, and a lot of people are familiar with it. And you can be appointed to be a super user, and you go on and you bring the pictures in and the text in so that the material is fresh. We have pictures from Habitat for Humanity. We've got pictures from the AIDS Walk. Those are the kinds of things that need to be brought on, and it's too much for one person to do.
So we're looking for?
This is to expand the use of the digital in the marketing area.
Digital use of marketing?
Yeah. Expand digital marketing.
Digital marketing. Mm-hmm. Got it.
Okay? And that, but to be able to do it in an inexpensive way. We used to, when I first got to Growth and Good News, we spent $300 a month on 3 or 4 ads. Our budget was $14,500. This is $300 a month. But if you were to pay a website designer to maintain and carry on, you would be looking at a lot of money. I'm not sure exactly how much, but the lowest I could go was $500 a month, and that was just a little geek doing it, not a website company, okay? Now, that brought up, and so I encourage everyone to kind of look at the website, and you can't see what can be done. It's invisible to you. You have to log in to see the widgets that change things. Anybody wants any information, see Robert or myself. So that's something that's really worth sustaining. That brought up, Marge brought up, the fact that we need to appeal, or this subject brings up the fact that it's internet, fairly high tech, that the difficulty of appealing to both old and young, and that's really critical too. Marge was saying, you know, I have needs, I don't want to feel like I'm left out. And that's a very, very good point.
Okay.
We have to track the young by, you know, we've got a computer now in the lobby. When new people come in, they can sign in their email address and their name, and that goes straight to Shauna. That shows, you know, that we're moving forward, that we're, you know, we're cool.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
For music and worship. We have a great appreciation for the different kinds of music, so how can we maintain and expand the diversity of music?
Maintain and expand
the diversity of the musical selection.
Okay.
Under nurture and education, no. I'm sorry.
Cool.
Somebody will describe it. Under growth and good news. What kind of training could we receive to do mission work in a UCC sort of way? We could get into other religion styles, but very UCC way.
So is that under growth and good news or under mission?
We had it under growth and good news, but I don't know. Maybe it should be under mission.
Receive.
Flexible.
Do the mission work. The UCC way.
Or in a UCC way, as opposed to maybe some other ways of mission work that might come to people's mind.
Got it.
Under spiritual gifts, how can we encourage and support church members and friends to identify their gifts? How can we encourage and support church members and friends to identify their gifts? how do we help people who have something to offer know who to talk to? How do we maintain the level of involvement in the worship service that we're seeing this year? As it was mentioned earlier, there's a lot of people involved in the services right now. So how do we maintain that involvement in the future? What was the trick that, what worked right? Yeah.
Is that under music and worship?
We had that under spiritual gifts.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure.
No, that's fine, I'll keep it there.
And then we had stewardship, care, and community. We had a couple questions. One, do we have someone who provides a meal to those that are sick and shut in or rehabilitating? The general question of how it works now. Someone who provides a meal when there's a need.
Okay.
I have one. Who tracks, this is probably under the liaison when we're talking about the council at large, who tracks the issues raised to the at-large council member and whether or not all those are resolved? Is there a process for that? And that may be already.
Okay.
Thanks for your patience.
Thank you. All right. I hope everyone had a chance to talk. I hope you all had a chance to feel like your views were represented. And I know sometimes there's a lot of duplication, but that's actually a really great thing because that's called trending. And trending kind of identifies things and tells that there are like-minded individuals, kind of that where two or more are gathered thing. The last thing I want to talk about, and I won't talk about it right now, but I will direct your attention to, on the Dream Team form, the topic about the transitional team, what we're going to be doing in the coming months and year. If anybody would like to be a part of the transitional team that has not already signed up for it, before you go home today, if you could come and see Lisa Roger. Lisa's sitting up here in the front for anybody that doesn't know her. But she is our current moderator and is very interested in anything you might have to say or any gifts you might have to offer in this process. So she will definitely be able to tell you, what we're looking for, how you might assist us. And it may be in a very small way because that's all your time allows, or there may be larger projects that you can be involved in. Yes?
Even if you signed up and talked to me, I have a handout today that further defines what the transition team is going to be about. So if you're interested in being part of the team, and it's really 5 minutes is all I need to try to determine how many people I've got.
So if you didn't hear that, she's got a handout for you. So even if you've already signed up or indicated an interest, she has something she wants to hand to you today. So just run up to her before you scoot on out of here. And I think that we have accomplished a lot today. It may feel, well, like, why did we do this? What's this for? All of this information, including things that I didn't write down here, I'm collecting all your little tablecloths, collecting all your pictures that you drew, just because it makes me happy. And we're going to be doing something with the pictures, trust me, it's not just for kicks. We're going to be taking all of this information and clustering things together, so we'll put the like things together, and this will be put into a cohesive format so you can actually look at it and see what all we discussed and came up with today. And this is our starting place. This is our springboard for going forward in the next 18 months to however long this whole process takes. And just so you know, if you have an interest in any of these committees that are described here, these teams, I can't say this enough. It's not like the traditional church structure where you were elected to a position on a committee and served a tenure of 2 years, and you exclusively worked on that committee for 2 years, no matter what. The way we do the team structure here is you may see something on care and community that you are very interested in being a part of, and that may be a 6-week project.
And then you may see something with Christian education and nurturing that you're interested in, and you can go work on that for 2 weeks. Or you may get called to do the children's moment every once in a while. Or you may like the Mission and Outreach Justice Program if that speaks to you. You can work on any of the teams at any time. The more the merrier. And if there's something that you think, I really think I've got some great ideas, as scary as it sounds, I would like to try to be a team leader for that team for the January 2012 council. I'm getting old. You mark down on this paper. Mark down if you're just interested in participating on the team. Let us know if you're interested in participating as a leader. You don't have to be a real outgoing, extravagant person to be a team leader. You can very quietly lead people. It doesn't have to be all about a 12-alarm fire. But if you think you've got a gift, don't hide that light under a bushel. Like Barbie said today, we've all got a light within us, and by ourselves, we're just one little light. You cluster us all together, and we're a bonfire. And this congregation absolutely is a bonfire, just waiting to blow, in a good way. So thank you for participating today. I will keep you all updated on how this event went, what kind of information we collected, and I would like to thank Shauna for printing everything and anything that I needed. Don for calling new members who joined in the last 12 months. Don actually called everybody who joined in the last 12 months and gave them a heads up for today. That was a selfless, non-self-serving task, and I appreciate that greatly. Mike for helping me with general setup, and everybody that helped with the food. Lisa for doing design, graphic design. John for helping me with food setup, and the willing, hopeful, and open spirit of First Congregational UCC of Phoenix. Thank you.